Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today it's spooky time, so we are playing a spooky deck. We're playing some zombies for Halloween. Now, you may ask yourself, wait, aren't zombies like bad in legacy? And you'd probably be right. However, we're going to do it anyway. So last year I played a very similar list to this, and I think we went 3-2 with it, which, to be honest, was an amazing record considering what we were playing. So I've sort of refined it a little bit and settled on this little deck. Last time we were playing white, this time we are a fully mono-black list. We do have some silent clearings, but these are just as lands that we can redraw with. It felt pretty good last time I had them. And yeah, that's where we're running. So let's have a look at our zombies. The big one here is Champion of the Perished. This is a 1-mana 1/1 that grows every time we play a zombie. And we've got a lot of zombies in the deck to work with. So Carrion Feeder is another one that's a 1/1 that grows. This kind of makes all removal our opponent has. If it doesn't target the Carrion Feeder, it will be then just growing our Carrion Feeder. So that's pretty reasonable too. And we have a Gravecrawler, which we can recur. And with the Carrion Feeder, we can just, play this a bunch of times, sack it a bunch of times, grow our guy, grow our champion. And you can have some pretty good aggressive starts to a game that way. Our 2-drop slot, we have 4 Undead Augur. This was, again, is pretty good when we were drawing extra cards off of doing our little Carrion Feeder chains, that sort of thing. This card seemed pretty reasonable to me when we played it last time. Then our 3-drop slot, we had the Rotting Regisaur last time because this guy hits like a truck and it just felt like the right thing to be slamming into people. And because we are a Dark Ritual deck, having some powerful 3-drops to power out, pretty nice. So this is where we went with this one. Also now we're mono black. It means we can try and play this Geralf's Messenger. So this is another thing that we can ramp out for 3 mana. We did have Diagraph Colossus last time, and that card was no good. So we are trying this Geralf's Messenger. So it's a 3-mana 3/2 that comes in tapped and domes your opponent for 2. But when it dies, it comes back as a 4/3 that domes them again. So that's quite a lot of stats as long as it's not getting hit by white removal. And we also have 2 Lord of the Accursed to buff our zombies, but of all the Lords, this is probably the best one because the Menace actually allows you to get those final points of damage in, whereas some of the other Lords aren't the best. Like, Death Touch is nice and makes blocking a bit awkward, but just getting your opponent dead is what we're trying to do here. We also have some Thoughtseizes to try and mess with our opponent's hand, and we don't really have the Tidehearted Scullers that we had in the previous build, which were okay. Like, having the hand disruption was nice, so we're trying to keep some hand disruption in. But this is also a piece of hand disruption that can sacrifice one of our opponent's creatures and give us a little bit of board control in that way. So we've got Liliana as a sort of discard spell that can also do a bit of sacrificing. Like, this card hasn't been great for a while, but I think this is an okay slot for it because we're going to play a bunch of stuff out and be relatively hellbent, so we can just keep upticking this and get some joy with it. The last card I didn't mention so far is the Relentless Dead. Now, this card, I'm not great. This was the last slot added to the deck as well, I should be clear. And it's fine. Like, it has Menace, so it does have some evasion, so we can get some points in. It's a little bit tricky to block, and its ability is okay. Maybe we can recur it a little bit. Maybe we can get some other zombies back. It's okay. I think it scrapes by for what we're trying to do, but I would prefer a different 2-drop, but I don't think we can actually run one. As for the sideboard, white removal is going to be relatively good against us. So we've got some Stillmoon Cavaliers. It's a 2/1, but it's got protection from white and black, so it's not getting killed by Orcish Bowmasters, which might be able to kill some of our guys if the timings aren't going well for us. But it's got a little bit of evasion, got a little bit of pump to it, so it gets to dodge basically removal colours apart from red. So this is terrible against decks with Lightning Bolt in, which is why it's in the sideboard, but against all the white decks, like the controller decks, this can do some real work. I've been surprised at how useful this was before. We've got some Leyline the Voids for graveyard matchups. We've got some Mindbreak Traps for people trying to storm us. Because we don't have the extra hand disruption, we're kind of going a bit harder on Mindbreak Traps. And we've got 3 Plague Engineers. If someone's going to be playing lots of annoying little blockers, they're going to jam us up, we can at least try and interact with them using Plague Engineer. And yeah, also, Plague Engineer, we want to win the tribal battles, right? That's referring to zombie goblins or something. We want to try and show ourselves as the better tribe, even though we're not. So this is the list that I've sort of tweaked a little bit. I don't think it's great. We're aiming for a 3-2. That's kind of the bar, the highest bar that I think we're going to get. And I'm hoping that we can do that. Like, all of our cards do stuff, right? We don't have that many moving pieces necessarily. We're just playing a bunch of guys and beating down. And sometimes that will get you there. And we're hoping it's going to get us there now. And we should be able to out-aggro some people relatively well. So if we can get 3-2, I'd be very happy. I do have another zombie list that I did play. Well, rather not play, but I built. I haven't played it yet, which is a combo zombie deck. That one's got a lot more moving pieces in and I haven't quite worked out all the numbers on it. So that's why we're going with this one. If people are interested, I might play the other one at some point as well when I get a slot where I would feel like doing something a little bit janky. But that deck seems quite fun too. Anyway, zombies, Halloween, let's go. Like, subscribe. Let's do the Monster Mash. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? Alright, this is our opening hand. We're an aggro deck. We have a 1, 2, 3 on the curve. Let's give it a whirl, I suppose. We're going to have a bad time against the combo deck, but we've got some tools for that in the sideboard. Let's see what our opponent's on. Scalding Tarn. Jam out the Cavern of Souls. Name Zombie. Happy Halloween, opponent. Now this could get lightning bolted. It could get bowmastered. When we last played this deck, bowmasters wasn't a thing, so a bit awkward potentially. But I don't think we just don't like. I think not playing a guy on turn 1 when we have a turn 1 play is not a thing that's going to win us the game. A mountain. That's interesting. We Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Right, if they had a bowmasters, they would have used it then. So we're definitely serving here. If this dies, we get to draw some cards. Our opponent could be on some sort of sneak and show deck, maybe. Scalding Tarn and basic mountain. That's a possibility for us to worry about. Okay, we've got some movement over there. A basic island. A brainstorm. Okay. It's not too bad for us. Because we're playing black, our opponent might play around bowmasters as well at some point. Unless they realise how far into the source we are. So our opponent can't... they can Supreme Verdict next turn, right? Interesting. We will draw a bunch of cards, if that's the case. So we got some options here. We can just try and jam the most damage we can and draw a bunch of cards. I quite like that. Let's get another Undead Augur going. Actually, let's play the Carrion Feeder first. Alright, let's pump our guy. Let's cast this one. Pump some more guys. 6 of my finest damages. Right, our opponent's cracking fetch after taking 6. We do have lethal because we can play a guy and pump one of our Carrion Feeders. So they're going to have to do something here. But it is feeling... yeah, this is feeling very show and telly. Sneak attack, sure. How bad is this going to be? Let's see. An Atraxa. Okay, that's pretty bad, but... that's more life that we're going to have to work through. And there is an Emrakul they found here. So not a big fan of that one. Etali. Pretty cool. So... opponent's going to go up to 17. How much damage are we going to be able to do to them? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Like, at most. Right, so they've got a whole bunch of these cards, including an Emrakul. Oh, okay, they've got the Lotus Pad as well, haven't they, obviously? Yeah, okay, so we are just dead here. We will concede this game. Now, this is one of the sort of combo decks that we don't really have anything good for. So we are just going straight back in again. And hopefully Liliana will do some work if we can find it. But I'm not feeling hopeful about this. This is definitely where the going to mono black and taking out the Tideholder Scholars is going to affect us. But if we were on the play, maybe we'd have been alright there. I don't think we can keep this one. It is too slow. Okay, this one is not slow. We can keep this. So we can go 1 mana for Dark Ritual into Dark Ritual. That's 5 mana. That plays out 2 things on turn 1. Or we could just Dark Ritual straight away and play 2 guys. And then do nothing on the next turn. Maybe we're throwing back the Silent Clearing and just going all in and just playing all of our guys and saying, is this good enough to beat you? Dark Ritual. Certainly not the most impressive thing a Dark Ritual has ever done. Alright. Let's go for the Lord of the Accursed. Let's go for the Undead Augur. Alright. We've got a 4-turn clock. Now, we get to increase that by playing a 3-1 a second. Now, if our opponent's running something like, let's say, Fury, that can be awkward for us. Alright, just a preordain. And they've done themselves 1 point of damage, which might be relevant down the line. Can we spook our opponent out in Spooky Town? Rotting Regisaur. That's not really the one, is it? Alright, let's just play this guy. Let's bash. So next turn we hit for 8. And the turn after we hit them for 8. So we are on a 3-turn. We've got 2 more turns to survive. Okay, they've got land there. They've got a Lotus Petal. What are they going to put in? We know they've got Omniscience in the deck, so I'm not really a big fan of this one. Alright, we can put in a creature. We've got our own thick boy here. If they cast an Emrakul though, well, what does this do? Enters the battlefield. Each player exiles card on top of the library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards. Okay, well, they're not going to get anything too good off of our library, I don't believe. And our guy is pretty big. A Carrion Feeder. That cannot block. Enjoy the Carrion Feeder. Fury. That's a little bit better. So what is that going to take out here? You can take out the Lord of the Accursed and the Undead Augur here. And we'll draw 2 cards. Interesting they're going for the Gravecrawler here. Right, we'll get to draw some cards at least. A Thoughtseize. Not the best. Another Gravecrawler. And they've got a lot of stuff over there. Okay, they got Sneak Attack as well. Okay. We have to discard a card. We'll discard the card we can cast from the graveyard. That seems pretty easy peasy. This trades with any of their guys. So let's send it in. Okay, they're going to trade off their Fury here. We're going to draw an extra card. We could... I think we are just going to Thoughtseize our opponent though. Because if they've got something that will kill us next turn, that's not very exciting. I guess if they'd had anything, they would have cast it, to be honest. That was not a great Thoughtseize, thinking about it a little bit more. We should have just played 2 guys out. Now, I don't think we're winning by playing those guys out, because our opponent just has to do something. What does this do when it flips? It does some stuff that is not really going to be relevant. That's what it does. Alright, so attacking for 7. That's fine by me. That means they can't block. Nope, this is more power. Let's do this. Cast this. Cast this. So if we attack... So this blocks 2 damage. And then dies and draws us a card. Or we attack with both guys, and then if we ever draw a card, we'd lose the game. If any of our creatures die, we lose the game if we attack with this Undead Augur now. But we attack for 5 here, and that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is lethal. So I think we just do this and hope our opponent bricks for 1 turn. If we hadn't cast that Thoughtseize, that'd have been a lot better position. Maybe a punt that could cost us this game. But they can't... I guess they can attack with their Carrion Feeder, can't they? Oh my god, I forgot about the Carrion Feeder. Whoopsie daisy. Yeah, they've seen the line of attacking with our own creature. Yeah, that was pretty bad. We made 2 mistakes in this game. The Thoughtseize... Well, the Thoughtseize was the mistake. Attacking here was only a mistake because of the Thoughtseize earlier. We definitely shouldn't have cast that. And that may well have cost us the game. And the match. Yeah, I imagine this is going to be a really hard matchup because our clock is not good enough to clock a sneak attack deck. And our tools are not good against it. They're not a graveyard deck. They're not trying to storm off. We just don't have the tools for this one, really. Alright, let's go to round 2. Our opponent is a Yuri on deck. We have a curve. We will keep this. We have a curve. Hive the Eye Tyrant. Champion of the Perished. Spooky Halloween times. Alright. So next turn we can play the Augur. Turn after we can play Relentless Dead. Not Restless Dead. Relentless Dead and a Gravecrawler. A Ponder. That doesn't kill our guy. Let's keep jamming. A Dark Ritual. Does this change anything? I think it does. I think we can just Dark Ritual now. Okay. Let's play this Undead Augur. Pumping our guy. Play out this guy as well. Like, we've got 7 power on turn 2. That's pretty reasonable. We don't have that much left in the tank, unfortunately, but we can crack these and draw some cards in a bit. That's the one you counterspell. Interesting. And they pitched another Force of Will. Alright. Splash for 2. And pass the turn. Geralf's Messenger. That's a pretty tasty one, isn't it? I think this is worth casting right now. They've already used a Force of Will. And they didn't play a land in their last turn, so... maybe they've just got more Force of Wills? They're ploughing our Champion that Perished. But they're taking a hit from our guy. And they're going to take a hit from this guy as well. And our opponent missing that land might be enough. Like, if their hand's just full of Swords to Plowshares, then they might be able to get us. Like, Geralf's Messenger is a very good Swords to Plowshares target. Ugh. Sure. Right, we're going to attacks. Bash. Do I just play out another guy here? Like, this guy can let us get the other Gravecrawler back later. But I think we just need to threaten damage. We're not worried about a sweeper here. Not when they've got one land. So we've got a 2-turn clock now. Alright, our opponent got mana screwed and won a game. But they interacted with us a reasonable amount. You know, 2 plows and a force is not nothing. But again, our deck is pretty redundant because it's just a bunch of lads trying to attack. Okay, so Stillmoon Cavalier in. We don't want we don't want some of our guys getting plowed. Which guy do we want to get plowed the least? Is it either Regisaur or the Messenger, right? It's one of the two. Now, we can always sacrifice stuff to the Carrion Feeder. It's not the end of the world. Like, Geralf's Messenger is kind of reach, and Rotting Regisaur is just a big lad. I guess maybe we don't want to go wide that much with the Lord of the Accursed, but it does do a lot of damage. Let's try and trim 2 of each, because they're both good in different ways. It's the thing, just having a massive guy that they have to answer is nice. Then having something that can do a bit of damage without the combat step is also nice. It's a tough world for a zombie. Is it our turn to keep the one lander? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. We're on the draw, so we've got 2 draw steps to find a second land. That seems pretty reasonable to me. Got no play there from our opponent. Alright, another Dark Ritual. Alright, I think we fire off a Dark Ritual and see if they want to counterspell this. Alright, let's Thoughtseize our opponent and make sure that we can jam a Stillmoon Cavalier down our opponent's throat. Thoughtseize was counterspelled, was it? Let's try another one of these then. Right, we have 4 mana. Let's cast a Stillmoon Cavalier. Let's cast a Gravecrawler. Alright, we've got a pro-white creature in play against the deck with white removal spells. We made 4 power on turn 1 and got a Force of Will out of our opponent. Right, so Orcish Bowmasters is going to come down here. But Orcish Bowmasters doesn't do anything to Stillmoon Cavalier. If we play the Carrion Feeder, they can ping it and kind of force the action on our Gravecrawler, so it's kind of the same either way, really. So I think we just attack with our 2 guys here. They're going to play Bowmasters. They're going to ping down the Gravecrawler. It's not my first rodeo. But this means we can get the Carrion Feeder down. Yep, here comes the Bowmasters. Can't ping our Cavalier. Yep, you can ping our little rubbish guy. This doesn't really narrow it down, does it? Which little rubbish guy? Because that's our whole deck. Alright, here it is, Carrion Feeder. Here is Gravecrawler. And we just keep sending some boys at our opponent, really. We can pay X and put X counters on Carrion Feeder effectively. That's what Gravecrawler does here. Are they going to attack us? We can't block, so be my guess, I suppose. Alright. I don't think this is going to be a matchup about our life total. It's going to be about what state the board is in. Rotting Regisaur. We're not casting you, unfortunately. Let's cast this Gravecrawler. Alright, I think we send our squad in here. I'm okay. If I attack with this and they have a Bowmaster, that's not great for us. I will sacrifice this Gravecrawler to pump our guy. They can Bowmasters here, but we can sacrifice our other Gravecrawler. Where are you going to put this ping? Onto the Carrion Feeder. Sure. We will sacrifice our other Gravecrawler. And replay our Gravecrawler. Look at the value. So much value. If we find a land, we get to play a massive dinosaur. With no drawback, because we have no cards in hand. Kind of wish Stillmoon Cavalier was a bit beefier, though. If they made this today, it would be like a 4-3 or something silly. Right, found the land. We can go to attacks here. I'm happy to sacrifice the Gravecrawler to keep our Carrion Feeder alive. They're going to have an Endurance here. We can't fly over the top here. We can give it First Strike, but we can't buff it enough. So Endurance would be real bad for us, is what I'm saying. That's a green mana, that's a green mana. There's an Endurance. So get rid of our Gravecrawler as well. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. And this is probably going to block the Stillmoon Cavalier. We will sacrifice our Stillmoon Cavalier. As sad as that is. We get quite a lot of damage in there, and we do get to follow up with the biggest of dinosaurs. Kaboom! 3 mana, 7/6. What's not to love? We have the biggest thing going on. We can pump our Carrion Feeder to be enormous. We can put 3 counters on its turn if we want to. An Uro. That's okay. That's going to gain them some life. Put them up to 8. They can throw some guys under the bus so that they have enough food to play the Uro next turn. We can have creatures bigger than the Uro though, so there is that. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand, so we don't have to worry about Endurance being pitch cast. Attacking with the Gravecrawler is pointless, so we're not going to do that. So we draw Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Sure, we'll just play that one out. We will sacrifice this Gravecrawler. We'll play this Gravecrawler. Just honest Magic the Gathering right here. Just simple, harmless little guys. Just doing their thing. Alright, I have to block the Carrion Feeder because they know we can pump it. So something's going to go under the bus there. Yep. And then they're going to go under the bus under there so they can make their Uro. Rotting Regisaur trades with Uro. Carrion Feeder eats the Uro in combat. Source of Plowshares would really ruin our day. A Brainstorm, okay. We do have the Hive of the Eye Tyrant, so if we find like another swamp, that's a menace attacker. That can also exile a card from the graveyard if they're not playing the Uro out this turn. So that would be quite tasty. Like, we are in command, but this could go awry for us. This Scrubland stopping them from casting the Uro is pretty tasty for us. We'll discard no cards because we don't have any. Give us a land. Oh, yes. You absolutely love to see it. Hive of the Eye Tyrant doing the job. This will exile the Uro. It could be representing... okay, they want to keep their Uro alive. I see how it is. The Uro Dream. Sure, so they can take 2 here, or they can... Okay, yep. So they're just going under the bus, taking 2. They play Uro, that takes them up to 8. Sorry, to 9. Which isn't enough. Which is enough, right? Let's say take 7... So block this, takes 7, 8, 9. No, that's not enough. So they just play the Uro. We win the game. Maybe we'll even draw another card that does something. If we're on the verge of our match win, perhaps. Fingers crossed. Okay, that's a green mana. That's a green mana. Nope. Maybe it's a blue mana. They've got plenty of white mana, so they're not going to struggle to leave white mana up. This is definitely paying for an Uro. Yep, there it is. Let's hope it doesn't draw them anything good. They've left mana open to play Source of Plowshares, Prismatic Ending, or Orcish Bowmasters. Any of those cards probably does a good way of winning the game. Oh, we got a match with the zombies, though. Yeah, that was an honest to good, just playing a game of Magic the Gathering. And winning. We didn't even have to... We didn't cheese our opponent in this game. We just did our thing. So we're 1-1 with zombies. All right. The expected was a 2-3. The dream is a 3-2. So, you know, we're halfway to the expected. And we're getting towards the dream a little bit. Okay, let's go to round 3. Our opening hand has no lands. Let's mulligan. I can't keep a 1-lander like this. We're going to have to mulligan again. I can keep a 1-lander like this, though. So we'll keep this, get rid of a Lord of the Accursed, and a Rotting Regisaur. We're on the draw, so that's something. A Verdant Catacombs and pass. Undead Augur. What deck plays Verdant Catacombs without playing a 1-drop? Like, Cradle Control is always going to have a 1-drop, so I don't think it's that. It could be like a Storm list, and because of that, I would like to Thoughtseize. Now, it could be something like Ad Nauseam Tendrils type jam. Okay, so our opponent's like lands or Naya Depths. What is scarier to me? Is it crop rotating for Tabernacle or ploughing one of our guys? And I'm not really a fan of any of these. I guess we take the crop rotation and we can work through a single plough because we've got some fuel to feed to it. Although they probably won't even bother shooting a champion that perished. Alright. So they're going to play out one of their... They're not going to play out Maze of Ith this turn, I don't believe. I want to get as much mana under them and then they'll play the maze when they need the maze. Alright, there's the Windswept Teeth. So they're going to play off basics here. That's what this signals to me. Yep, one of each. Expiration was the draw for the turn. And there's a Savannah. Okay, I'd love to draw a land this turn. We did not draw a land. We drew something that's not great against the old Swords to Plowshares. Unfortunately, we do not have a land. We did mulligan to 5. Not really paid off for us there. Elvish Reclaim is pretty good. Certainly bigger than some of the things we're up to right now. Oh my god, a land. I'll take it. Alright, let's play a Champion of the Perished. I'm sorry, Gravecrawler, we're going to feed you to the Swords to Plowshares. Which means they're less likely to plow our champion right now. But we've got an attacker. The fact they didn't plow this in response to triggers makes me think they're just going to plow the Gravecrawler. Yep, Maze of Ith. But we have 2 attackers. And we can steadily make some more until we get blown out by a Tabernacle or something. So now we have the problem that their Elvish Reclaimer can become a 3/4. So we need to play some more stuff. If we Thoughtseize here, our opponent's just going to plow in response. I don't think this Thoughtseize is going to be doing us a lot of good. I think we're just going to play an Undead Augur, pump some guys. We can't attack because of the Maze of Ith. We're just going to pass. Like, we could attack with lots of guys and force through a little bit of damage, but we'd be losing a Champion of the Perished here. And we might not even get any damage through because our opponent is holding the plow. Not a fan. Alright, so they're going to turn their Reclaimer into a 3/4. Pretty powerful stuff. Right, so they've got themselves a Thespian stage, which probably means we're going to get a 2020 right in our face in the not too distant future. Right, so they're playing the big one, which at least means we have the Gravecrawler alive, which is something we don't mind like throwing into combat and letting it die. Okay, crop rotation. So they're just going to get a Dark Depths and make a 2020 in this next turn cycle, and that is going to beat us, I believe. Right, we're doing it right away, in case we have something like a Wasteland. Like, we are a pretty aggro-y, tempo-y looking deck, so I wouldn't be surprised if our opponent thought we had Wastelands in our deck. Okay, what are we going to do now? We're going to die. Okay. What do we have for this matchup? Stillmoon Cavalier, again, looks pretty good. Rotting Regisaur is quite large. Maybe we'll strip back a couple of these. We don't want to go too wide, I don't think. Is Relentless Dead where we want to be? I don't think so. And then it's a case of, do we want Leyline in the Void to stop some of our opponent's stuff? So they're more green-white depths than Loam, like a full-on Loam deck. So there's definitely use for this Leyline in the Void. But is it better than just having our stuff? Is it better than having Thoughtseize? Because we kind of just want to keep making our guys, although this can potentially slow them down. Maybe we'll try some Loams. Is that right? That does shut down one of their creatures, but no, I think we do need the Thoughtseize. Yeah, we're just in a bit of a yikes position, to be honest. Yeah, I'll keep this. I think I want to get the damage rolling straight away. But what are we doing next turn? I think we just take a look at their hand, actually. Okay, an Endurance, an Expiration, a Swords to Plowshares, a Green Sun Zenith. A lot of these cards pretty good. The Mox Diamond not so great with their current setup, so I don't mind that. The Expiration not so good. Like, it will ramp them out one land. Endurance can do stuff later on, so I'm not a massive fan of that, but I think we just get rid of the removal here. The Mox Diamond in their hand is going to be discarded to our Liliana the Veil at some point, I suspect. I remember Liliana the Veil was like an amazing card, like one of the better things you could be doing. And now there's mono black decks where Liliana isn't even good enough. Before it was being played in like all sorts of colours. Right, so we've got Yavimaya and the Exploration are gone. Let's see his Windswept Heath. There it is. They're going to Green Sun Zenith for a Dryad Arbor. Could be. This will allow them to cast Endurance next turn, which will roadblock quite a lot of our guys. However, we have a Liliana. So we can go turn 2, make this, turn 3 Liliana. Oh, they've got Mother of Runes. Okay, we Maverick. Oh, maybe we just had the wrong read on their deck. Interesting. A Gravecrawler. I'm not unhappy with that draw. Let's go Champion of the Perished. Let's go Gravecrawler. Now, the Mother's a little bit annoying for sure. They still have this Green Sun Zenith. They didn't Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor, but they just played this Mother of Runes. So, the Liliana has some text here. In this matchup, the Swamp is just better than Cavern of Souls. Our opponent not finding a land would be good, but finding some of their spells could be bad for us. Like, we know they've got Plows, obviously, but they can have Prismatic Ending in their deck as well, or some reasonable 2-drops. We're going to see here. They could just Green Sun Zenith for a guy here. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. How do we beat them just having a guy in play? Not the question I really want to be asking with my aggro deck. Elvish Reclaimer. Thoughtseize. How important is it for me to get rid of this? I think we just need to get our Liliana going, don't we? That's the real thing here. And I'm going to keep this Cavern and pitch off this Thoughtseize, I think. Because I want to have the mana to activate our Hive the Eye Tyrant when the time comes. Because exile cards from my opponent's graveyard is good. And also attacking with a Menace guy is good. Right, so yeah. As I said on turn 1, the Mox Diamond was just going to be pitched off to Liliana. And here we are. If our opponent doesn't hit a land this turn, and they can't make the Endurance, and that becomes a little bit awkward for them. We just have this weird little stalemate whilst Liliana ticks up. Which is okay for us, because we can separate their lands and spells. I'd like to find a zombie we can cast next turn. A Rotting Regisaur would be nice. A Maze of Ith. This taps for green mana because of the Endurance. Sorry, because of the Yavimaya, so they can cast the Endurance. Sorry, getting ahead of myself there. Oh no, was this a crop rotation, it feels like? There it is. What sort of nonsense are we going to have to deal with right now? If this is a fetch land, it makes their Reclaimer a 3/4, and then they can attack our Liliana. And cast Endurance. And I think at that point we're probably cooked. Our opponent's aggro element is besting us here. They've also got like an eject button from the game in terms of having a 20/20 combo. So, not great for us. A Flagstones. Interesting. I think they've just made a mistake there, to be honest. They could have just got a... Like, obviously, they want the Flagstones for later, but if they just get a fetch land there and give themselves 2, 3, 4s on the board, we're probably not beating that, are we? Interesting. Alright. Oh, tough time in Zombie Town. Need more dirtily control decks, I guess, where we can just make guys and just keep swinging with them. Get them with what we like to call the bear clock. Yeah, they could have attacked with their Reclaimer here on our Liliana and forced a block or messed with us in some other way. Okay, this changes things, I think. We will. You can sacrifice a creature. Alright. Do I have to get rid of this Reclaimer or this Mother of Runes? I think so. I think this is worth us playing here. Let's keep this one. Lose another creature. Attacks. Attack with our 2/1. See, if they'd got fetch land, this whole sequence of plays could have happened. Now, they obviously do get to gain some card advantage by cracking their Flagstones. But I think they could have done that turn a little bit better. So we're going to lose a Hive of the Eye Tyrant here, I imagine. And then they can crack their Flagstones. But they're not really doing anything here. Now, they could just attack our Liliana. But our Liliana's done its job, I think. Yep, here it comes. Attacking the Liliana. Yep, we'll just let that through. We just want to draw something like Rotting Regisaur here. Just something big. It's not really great, is it? Okay, we'll attack for 4. We are winning this race, but not ideal. Our opponent definitely gave us a chance here by not getting a fetch and getting the flagstones. Okay, a land. They can just stop attacking here. If we draw a Carrion Feeder, that's going to be absolutely sick. We just make 2 large guys immediately. Carrion Feeder, come on. You're not a Carrion Feeder. Right, we get to attack with a Gravecrawler. If they block it, we get to pump our guy. So it's not the worst. They can Bajuka Bog to get rid of it here. Okay, they decided not to. Okay. So now we're going to crack their flagstones and get something exciting. They can just, like, slow roll their Dark Depths combo, and that might be good enough. So they get Thespian Stage here if they're going to do that. So the Savannah comes off the flagstones, and I imagine this gets them the Thespian Stage, because next turn they can get the Dark Depths and still be able to make the 2020. So, not looking good for our zombie hero. That's right, the zombies are the hero in this game. We have bricked on draws a little bit. A Dryad Arbor. Trying to discard their stuff. Yes, they go 1-2, turn this into Dark Depths, and they have the mana. So, how are we going to beat this 2020? That is a good question. Champion of the Perished is probably not the one, is it? So they can just make the 2020 now, and we're dead. Alright. I don't think our opponent is going to mess this one up. They've clearly played towards this line. They know what they're doing. They did make their little mistake with the fetch land. But how much of a mistake is that? Necessarily. Like, if we'd have drawn something useful, then it could have been a big mistake. But they basically played out for this exact scenario to make sure they had enough mana to immediately crack and do this all. But, yep. We got a bit smoked there. Yeah, sort of an interesting deck list, because it just kind of looks like Green-White Depths, but the Mother of Runes is not very common. That's more of a Maverick thing, so maybe it's a little bit more in that direction as well. I don't know. But yeah, we had a bad time there. So now we got 2 rounds to go. Let's see if we can do any well in them. Alright, what does our hand do here? We're on the play. We have 4 lands in our aggro deck and a Dark Ritual. I don't think we can keep this. This one does need another land to really do its thing. But it certainly does a thing, doesn't it? I guess we'll get rid of 1 messenger. Alright. Begin the game with a good old-fashioned Thoughtseize. Oh. Hello. Yikes. Interesting choices available to us here. I think we'll take this Sudden Substitution. So if you're not familiar with the deck our opponent's playing, it plays Hive Mind or Sudden Substitution to basically make us have a pact that we can't pay for. So we're going to see an island and a Preordain this turn. Unless our opponent drew a Ponder. Alright, there's a Preordain. I think I've played this deck once on the channel, the old Hive Mind deck. It's, okay, the 2 on the bottom. The hand doesn't really do anything, which is handy for us. I think we just need to get a threat down here. We know we're not getting killed right now. They need to have 4 mana minimum to kill us. So they shouldn't kill us on this turn. Maybe next turn. Like, if we draw a land, we're going to slam the messenger. Right, here's a Brainstorm. We just want to try and get this game done before our opponent draws into their pieces. Is this a deck where Mindbreak Trap can be helpful? Maybe. Okay, we didn't draw a land. We did draw another creature, though. So we have a choice. Are we playing out a 2-2 to double our clock, or are we trying to Thoughtseize this turn? I think they're just going to shuffle. I think this turn we just play another guy, and then we Thoughtseize next turn. Right, blue available. So it feels like they're in Cantrip Town. Yep, there's a Brainstorm. Also, now that the Brainstorm's gone, they can't Brainstorm to hide from the Thoughtseize as well. If we draw a land, we're still probably casting the Thoughtseize. But if we draw a Dark Ritual, we get to absolutely have our cake and eat it. Another island. Grim Monolith. That's never done any fair things in the history of Magic the Gathering, so... Oh my god, we drew the Dark Ritual. I'm so good at this game. Alright, let's Dark Ritual. Let's Thoughtseize our opponent. Let's see what you got. Force of Will, Pact of Negation, Pact of the Titan, Show and Tell. Huh. So... if they have Hive Mind on top. Wait, draw 3 cards. Yes, they know that top card of their library is. So if they have a Hive Mind on top, we just can't win. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so we can't get past what they have here. So we just have to hope they don't have it and take the Force of Will and just keep going. I think that's... So this is 4. That'll put them to 13. If we had 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But we can't cast this guy. This guy attacks for 3 on the next turn. So they'll be on 13, 10, 11, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And then they die on the following turn. If we play this... Is the Ancient Tomb switched off? They don't need the Ancient Tomb to win in the game. I think we'll cast the Messenger here. If I cast a Show and Tell, we can put in the Rotting Regisaur, but we're going to die if they do that because we'll lose to the can't pay trigger. Yeah, this is another combo deck where our particular set of sideboard cards doesn't line up amazingly. Like, Leyline's not doing anything here, and I'm not convinced that Mindbreak Trap is going to be good enough. Because they're just going to, like, Show and Tell, and then cast Hive, and then just cast a Pact and we lose. So I don't think we have any additional tools we can bring in. Maybe we should have just had more discard spells instead of Mindbreak Trap. Bam. We'll put our opponent to 11. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So still not quite lethal on the next swing. Okay, so the City of Traitors on top. So they got one more card to draw through, otherwise they would have stacked it, so they would have won the game there. Alright, does it matter if we cast this now? No. I think we have this game, right? Because they know the next card down from their Brainstorm. So... And if they'd have had the Hive Mind, they would have put the second one down. Alright, we got to win. We got to win with some zombies. So, like I was saying, I don't think our sideboard cards are good here. I don't think anything we have here is good. I think we just go back in and hope that a well-placed Thoughtseize wins us the game. I don't feel very happy in this matchup. Like, Mindbreak Trap can stop maybe the very fastest of combos if they have, like, Lotus Petal, Grim Monolith type hands. But I just don't think that's a realistic thing. I think we just end up dying with cards in our hand. I would have loved to have a 2-drop or something to go with this. I think we have to Thoughtseize on turn 1. Ancient Tomb. Oh no. Grim Monolith. Oh no. This could be bad. Basic Swamp. Let's have a peep. What have you got, opponent? Pact of the Titan, Force of Will, Show and Tell. So they have enough mana that the Show and Tell doesn't matter, right? But we can take the Pact. And that will jam them up a little bit. Because between the Grim Monolith, the Ancient Tomb, and the City of Traitors, they don't need the Show and Tell to put in anything. There's your Tawara. Got Cantrip. Hive Mind. Okay. That means their counter spells do not work anymore. Which is nice for us. Let's cast a Dark Ritual. Our opponent also gets a Dark Ritual, but it doesn't do anything. Solve our Dark Ritual there. Play this name zombie. Oh no! We're supposed to use the mana. It doesn't matter, but it's kind of annoying. I was trying to use the Cavern mana, but it auto-paid for it. Like, again, it doesn't matter because, like we said, the Force of Will counter their Force of Will because we get a copy of it. But we just need to let our opponent dodge. Sorry, I panicked a bit more than I needed to there. There's the City of Traitors. I don't think you're supposed to play that Hive Mind out, to be honest. I guess it stops you getting Thoughtseized, but it also turns off your Force of Will. It's kind of a weird situation to find yourselves in. Alright, so let's play Lord of the Accursed, I think, here. Bash for 4. We're basically just at the mercy of our opponent here. But cantrips we at least get to fire off as well. So we can dig for something. I would like to draw a card, please. Okay, that wasn't the one, was it? Okay, our opponent's got one more draw step here. Let's see. Can we get lucky? What is this? Oh, they untapping Grim Monolith. Okay, that's not that exciting. Like, they're dead anyway next turn, so it makes sense. But if we could have found a Carrion Feeder, we could have turned off that Ancient Tomb. Did they find it? Or did we get lucky? We got lucky! I'll take it. Alright, so we've hit the, like, expected thing of this deck. Like, going above a 2-3 would be an outstanding result. So, can we do it in the final round? I'm excited. Let's go. Our hand is Liliana good? That's what our hand asks. Sure. Let's try it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to keep this one. It's very disruptive, though. And we've been seeing lots of things I want to disrupt today. Chalice of the Void. Alright. Two of the cards in our hand now do not do anything. Exciting. Let's play this Swamp out. We'll play Hive, Eye Tyrant next. What flavor of Ancient Tomb Chalice deck is our opponent? Are they 8 casts? Are they Mono Red Prison? Okay, so they feel like an 8 cast deck. Expedition map into their own Chalice. Interesting. Maybe they've got some sort of graveyard based shenanigans they want to deal stuff with. Slightly punished for not playing out the first Hive, the Eye Tyrant. Alright, so now the other Saga is going to start cooking. Alright, so they are an 8 cast deck. Champion of the Perished. You're not really doing it. We might be able to cast that if we find a Chalice, but I don't think we're going to get to do our thing right now. We'll discard this Thoughtseize. Now our opponent is just going to mash this pretty hard with the Construct. But it's going to buy us some life and discard a card from our opponent, so it's something. They could always just get Pith Needle and completely ignore our Liliana. That's also an option. Although Pith Needle on Hive the Eye Tyrant is probably fine too. Or they just get Shadow Spear and start smacking us up. I don't think we're beating this Saga. Alright, they're just getting a Soul Guide Lantern. They just want to redraw. Sure. So they're going to smash our Liliana down. Yep. Goodbye, Liliana. We get to take out one of these constructs at least. Well, maybe. Who knows? Emery. Okay. It's pretty good. We don't have any Artifact Hate because we're not playing Artifact Hate colours. We could have played a Null Run, I suppose, but there's only so many hate pieces you get to play. Alright, we need to keep ourselves alive. They're probably going to just sacrifice... Oh, they sacrificed a token. That's kind of surprising to me. Alright, let's play another Hive the Eye Tyrant because it's going to come in tapped. We haven't shown them any zombies in our zombie tribal deck, so that kind of shows how this game's been going. Another Urza Saga. Yikes. So they're going to bash us up for 6. That feels like an error. I think you want to use your Emery first and get more damage. Oh, okay. They're just killing our Liliana. Sure. I think the Liliana is kind of irrelevant when you've got the Emery, and they could have just bashed us up pretty good. But yeah, seems fine. Like, they don't really have any ways that this game goes wrong for them. Let's play with Silent Clearing and make them think about white spells. Let's draw a card. We could have attacked there, but we're not going to beat this clock. 4 uncastable spells in hand. Yuck! Okay, so we don't have any real ways of interacting with our opponent other than Plague Engineer to... where did they go? Plague Engineers as an option because they at least trade with constructs and they can take out Thopter tokens if our opponent is running Psi, which is something that's going to be very difficult for us to beat. Truth be told, I don't think we're going to have a great time in this matchup. Relentless Dead. Is that going to be useful here? I think maybe the Plague Engineers will be better. But I think we just have 2 of them. Alright. That Chalice really blew us out. If we were on play, maybe that game goes differently. Okay. So we can Thoughtseize and then we can play our Gravecrawler through a Chalice. Opponent's mulligan to 6. Hopefully we can just take out that one piece that's holding their hand together. Thoughtseize, target you. Alright. Patchwork Automaton, a little bit scary. Cap Cannoneer, scary in a different way. We'll take out the Automaton. Because then they get put in that bind of, do I crack my baubles to try and find action, or do I save them to try and draw artifacts for Cap Cannoneer? And that's a spot I don't hate putting my opponent in. Now, the Patchwork Automaton is a much more immediate threat that can really jam us up. Wouldn't mind drawing another Thoughtseize. Okay, they just straight up drew an Urza Saga. That's pretty bad news for us. Pithy Needle, what would you like to name this? You name Wasteland, I bet. Or Liliana, maybe. You've seen it, but I don't think they care about Liliana on this board. They did name the Liliana. Okay, that means we're about to draw a Liliana. We did not draw a Liliana. That was a shocker. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. We know what they both are. I don't think we showed them the Cavern yet. We just play out a Gravecrawler and our opponent will be confused as to what's happening. And now we're just going to keep smashing 3-drops. So Geralf's Messenger can block a guy pretty effectively. Gets a little bit draining going, that sort of jam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they can make a Cap Cannoneer next turn. That's not great for us. Let's play this on Zombie. Let me smash down this one first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then they can get any artifact to play the Kappa. But we can just keep making some stuff here. We might be able to race it in, perhaps. Like if they have a big construct, we can at least block that with a Geralf's Messenger. Yep, making another guy. That's a 5/5. Okay, so they're not making the Kappa Cannoneer this turn. Understood. Lotus Petal. Oh, they are making the Kappa Cannoneer as well. Yuck. Okay, they're just having it all. Yikes. Alright. This is... On a scale of 1 to bad, it's pretty much a 10. Gonna get beaten down by the turtle here. We can play another messenger. We can block this. We can't block both of these unless we play this just a chump block, which doesn't sound great. Yeah, we are dead on board if we don't play some of these things. Yuck. Maybe they don't have an artifact though. Maybe they don't have an artifact. Let's cling on to that one. Is this when an artifact enters the battlefield? Oh, okay, no, they do have an artifact because they will go and get an artifact land. Okay. Not good. That's how I would describe this situation. Not good at all. This is what happens if you get paired into a good deck and you're playing something a bit cheesy. Like the control deck we played against was a good deck, but our deck was pretty effective at just playing guys and kind of forcing them to do something. And because they don't play to the board, aggro decks like that ours can kind of just jam those decks up sometimes. What? They didn't want to... That's weird to me. They could have just gone and got a seat of the Synod and given their guy unblockability. Weird. Okay. And that would have forced a chump block on the Rotting Regisaur. Alright, our opponent's helping us out. I don't think getting another Urza Saga is good enough here. Like, well, obviously it's good enough, it's fine. But they basically could have just won the game instead. Obviously it's easy to see that line from my side of the table. Alright, I don't think we're casting Thoughtseize, so that's a pretty easy discard. Another Geralf's Messenger. This card famously doesn't block. So this is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we can put lethal damage on the board. Which is not nothing. But it's pretty close to nothing. If our opponent has any artifact, we lose the game. So they will be able to make an artifact of the Urza Saga. So we have to swing and hope they forget the block button or just pass through our turn or something. Suffice to say, I think we're dead. Rah, that's a lot of damage though. You can certainly see how our deck can really get there against some decks that aren't playing to the board that much. Oh, look at that. Chump blocking with the Kappa Cannoner. Maybe our opponent will forget how to play the game. But yeah, so I think this is quite a good example of how the decks that play to the board in the format at the moment, they are there for a reason, right? They're very good like this playing to the board. And they're certainly better than the things we're doing, which is where we kind of struggle here. So yeah, we finished with a 2-3, which I said was about the expected result here. Even so, I think that's still a good result for this deck. Like a 3-2 with our deck would have been basically like a 10-0 trophy. That's kind of the level we're at now. Last time we played this deck, the format was a little bit slower and a little bit friendlier for dirtling around with what we're doing. But now I think the format is so powerful and quick that what we're doing isn't really getting there. All right, let's talk about the list. So obviously we're not playing a deck that we're going to be like, oh yeah, we can tweak this and we'll be able to compete. There are inherent weaknesses in our deck, which is the fact is we're just trying to play some guys and they're not amazing guys, right? They're okay. Obviously some of these, like, you know, Rotting Regisaur and Champion the Perish and Carrion Feeder, those are big hitters and can do a lot of damage. And we definitely saw that in this league, how certain sequences of draws can be really potent. However, I would also say things like Liliana the Veil, I'm sorry, but you're just not good enough for what we want to do anymore. I don't think this is where you want to be. If they were someone like Shoulder's Edict or, you know, Duress, Inquisition of Kozilek, some kind of interactive spell on the cheap, I think we would have been in a much better place. And maybe could have won a game, another round, instead of going 2-3. But I think it would have been close. Like, if we had Shoulder's Edict, maybe we can take out their Dark Depths in that matchup and win the game that way. And that's probably, you know, a bit better. But I don't think this sort of beatdown version of zombies is ever going to be doing amazing. Now, at the beginning of the video, I did mention that I'd also built a combo zombies deck, which is a much higher power level than this, but is a lot more vulnerable and, you know, a lot easier to disrupt, I think, because I guess it does have a lot of creatures. I don't know, but maybe that's something I should play as well. If I get time in the next week or two, I will try and play that combo zombie deck, I think, unless you really don't want to see it. So let me know in the comments if you would like to see the combo zombies. And we'll just get paired into nothing but mono Leyline Void decks, I suspect. But maybe we won't. Who's to say? So if you're interested in that, let me know. As for this deck, I think the cards we expected to be flexible were these ones. And if they printed some good 2-drop zombies, then I think this deck could be a little bit better. Like, I don't think you're going to be setting the world on fire, but it could be a fine deck to have a bit of fun with. I think our current options aren't quite good enough. Like, also if we had, like, Skin Render was a card I was thinking about. So that's a zombie. It's a 4-mana 3/3. When it comes into play, put 3 -1/-1 counters on target creature. Now, that card has to have a target, so you can't ever just play as a 4-mana 3/3, which obviously isn't a great rate. And a 4-mana 3/3 isn't really good enough to kill a lot of stuff anyway. In terms of the -3 counters, is not necessarily going to get the job done. So I want like some sort of effect like that. And I don't think Fleshbag Marauder is the way to go. Now, maybe it is. Maybe just playing that with an Undead Augur and drawing a card is good enough. But the fact is you can't... Sorry, if you're not familiar with Fleshbag Marauder, it's 2 and a black for a 3/1. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. So basically, it's quite often just going to edict itself. But maybe you could like get rid of a Gravecrawler or something. But we're not reliably finding our Gravecrawlers. We haven't got any engines to sort of mill ourselves or anything. So I don't think that's where I want to be. And it's another 3-drop, which again is awkward. It'd be nice to have some kind of like Ravenous Chupacabra type thing, like a way that we can just kill creatures. So like a zombie that will just kill a creature at a reasonable cost. There's a whole bunch of other zombies that are a bit more expensive. Mana value wise, I thought, okay, they might be okay. But I remembered last time I played this deck, getting above 3 mana wasn't necessarily something we did that often. We were just kind of just on 3 mana, so playing 4 or even 5 drops doesn't feel great unless we're going to be able to change the deck substantially. Alright, I think we're done here. We did kind of have the wrong pieces of combo interaction. Like if we'd have had some artifact hate, maybe we could have just, you know, cheesed our opponent out with a null rod. Maybe that's possible. But the Mindbreak Trap wasn't really where it was at for today's league, and that's sometimes the case. I think if they were discard spells, we might have been better, but then again, we might have just got bopped on turn 1 by some Storm decks. Who knows? Stillmoon Cavalier did its job. Brave Sir Stillmoon, getting it done. But yeah, obviously zombies never really going to be there until they print something a lot better than what we have right now. I don't think this wants to be an Aether Vial deck. I don't think Aether Vial decks are good in Legacy right now. I think Aether Vial is too slow and easily dealt with in the format right now. Like people are just popping Pith Needles out of their Rares of Sagas or Prismatic Ending it or whatever, and it just doesn't feel like it's good enough. And all it does is slow you down, and a lot of the control decks now with the One Ring, 4 Theolingus and Beanstalk, it just means that an Aether Vial deck is so slow to get its threats out that the game's going to be long enough that they've got the cards to just run them over. And I don't think that's a worthwhile place to be. Like, you know, there are some tricksy decks that can play Aether Vial, doing some little dodgy stuff with it where they're like blinking things. So getting different timings on their Flicker Wisps and stuff like that. You know, that's still fine. I don't think Death and Taxes is great in the format right now. But I think that's probably one of the only ways you can use an Aether Vial that feels playable in Legacy right now. I don't think you just play it as a way of getting some uncounterable guys and sort of using it as a mana rock. Especially when, if the game goes long, we're probably not winning it anyway, because a lot of decks, even control decks now, can commit to the board quite nicely with, again, 4 Theolingus and Uro is, you know, tried and tested way of just jamming people's lives up. So, in conclusion, replace these 6 cards with something else, Wizard of the Coast, print some better zombies, and we'll try again next Halloween, I guess. But we'll also try the combo deck in a little while if you're interested, so let me know. Alright, thank you very much for watching this. Enjoy your Halloween fun times. Remember to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel out. And if you've got some weird decks or your own zombie list that you think might be better than this, and you want to see it on the channel, I do donation decks, so by all means get in touch via the comments or my Discord or whatever. Shout out to me on Twitter or anything that helps you out to get in touch. And you can join my Discord for free as well, so just pop in there and say hello. And I'm going to be quiet now and go to bed. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.